All right, let's talk about the spiritual gaslighting. When religious advice silence your very real mental health struggle. And I talk about this because I have lived this for most of my entire life. Okay. Have you ever opened up about your deepest depression, the real heavy, can't get out of bed kind of depression, only to be told that you need to pray harder? I've done that, I've lived that, and it felt terrible. It feels like your faith is being weaponized against your own brain. So today we're deconstructing the toxic thing that happens in a lot of charismatic word of faith churches, all of these churches that are toxic, because it's actually spiritual gaslighting. And why? Just have more faith. Isn't it very encouraging? No, it's not encouraging. It's actually silencing who you are. And it might be the reason why you have been suffering in secrets for years and you probably don't even understand. Hi, I'm Mari, and I am a ACBC certified biblical counselor. Before any of that, I am a woman who was handed pray harder while I was drowning. And I want to tell you what that actually did to my life. So you know, I'm not just speaking from a book or that I read this somewhere. Let me tell you why I started drinking in the first place. Because it wasn't what you think it is or what I thought it was. I drank because I could not be perfect enough. And in the world that I grew up in, perfect wasn't the goal, okay? It was the requirement. I was taught that you could lose your salvation, not once, but every day, every second. One wrong move and that was it. One wrong thought, and that was it. And the Holy Spirit will leave you, and you will be lost all over again. So imagine living every single second of your life like you were one breath away from hell. And it wasn't just what you did, okay? It was also your thoughts. It wasn't just your actions, it was everything. I had a thought. If I had thoughts, I couldn't say them aloud to anyone because if I did, somebody would tell me it was a spirit or a demon or something in me needed to be cast out. So I've learned to be terrified to my own thoughts and my own mind, my own actions and my own desires and my own entire existence. So to hide what was happening in my head in my life because naming it out loud would just prove there was something evil in me or something broken or something wrong. And then you have to understand the Latino community don't talk about none of the stuff. However, in the churches, they talk a lot. In my culture, in the community, everybody talked about something. So there was nowhere to put it. Not out loud because you couldn't say that out loud because people talk, not in prayer because the thoughts were demonic, not a leader because they will say it was lack of faith. So I held it inside every second, trying to be perfect at a thing that was impossible by design. That's why I said, this is not for me. Why would I want to serve a God who's always punishing me, who's always after me, who hates me, because that's just what I thought. So I ran from God most of my life. And for me, what I did was I drowned in my drinking because I didn't know any better. I didn't know Christ. It was just something you did when you were growing up. So that's why I drank. And it was the only thing that made me realize that I think the noise will stop just for a little while, but it didn't. So when I did hit rock bottom, because I became an alcoholic. And in 2014, I ended up in a mental institution for 3 days. 3 days. That's where trying to be perfect for God, I was taught to be terrified finally took me. I didn't start climbing out of this until I actually hit 50. I've been sober for 7 years and 7 months. However, I didn't know Christ until maybe 2023 was when I really started to understand the scriptures. And I left the charismatic, I left that world, the word of faith, prophecy movement, prosperity gospel, the legalistic Pentecostal. And when once I left that, I want to say that I started going to this new church where they really disciple you, where they really show you the gospel, where they teach you about grace, something that I didn't know. I did not know grace. So that's how long the silence held for me. Now, let me talk to you because I think you know this feeling from the inside too. You've worked up the courage to tell somebody, right? A leader, a friend, a small group. You said the hard thing. I think I'm depressed, or I can't stop my anxiety, or something is really wrong. And instead of care, you got a verse. You got let go and let God. You got the joy of the Lord as your strength said at you like a correction. And here's the part that messes with your head. You walk away feeling worse. And then you felt guilty for feeling worse because they were quoting Bible. So how can this be wrong, right? How can this be wrong? Let me actually name the thing because you can't fight what you can see. Spiritual gaslighting is when someone takes real clinical pain, depression, anxiety, the kind of distress that needs actual care, and waves it with a religious phrase. It's not comfort, it's a dismissal wearing a Bible verse. And the reason it works is that it sounds holy. So you think to question it, right? So you don't think to question any of it. So this is holy. I'm not going to question this because they're correct and I'm wrong because my feelings and everything that I'm going through and this pain and the suffering, I don't understand because nobody's explaining it to me. Let me just stay quiet. So, you know the phrases, just pray harder. You must have unconfessed sin. You just lack faith. Speak life. Stop being so negative. I mean, I could just go on and on and on and on. Every one of these sounds spiritual, and every one of them is in the moment. That's the same quiet thing. It slams the door on you getting real help. Because if the problem is your faith, then a doctor can fix it, a counselor can fix it. And the only prescription is to try harder at the very thing that already is breaking you. And here's the weight that nobody talks about. When you're gaslight like this, you just don't carry the depression. You carry a second thing on top of it. The belief that you're failing at being a Christian because you're depressed. So now you're drowning and you're ashamed of drowning, and you think the shame is conviction from God. So you're failing on two fronts at once, right? In your head, mentally sick, and now spiritually guilty for being sick. That's a lot, okay? That is the crushing amount to carry. Okay, that is just a crushing amount to carry for anybody. I carry that for years, and I it almost cost my entire life because I am thankful that I'm here because if it wasn't for God, I would not be here sitting here today sharing some of the things I have gone through in my own life. That's the gaslighting, okay? It is not that they screamed at you, it's that they made you doubt your own reality by using holy words. You know something is wrong in your body and in your mind, and someone spiritual told you the problem is actually your faith. So, what do you do with that? So now you don't trust your own experience anymore. You're not weak. You were gaslights. And it happens in the one place that we're supposed to be safe, in the one place where there's supposed to be help for you, right? In the one place where you should hear the gospel, in the one place where there is freedom, right? But it didn't. So here's what I have to be honest with you, because I have watched people get hurt by both of the sides. The church that gaslight you failed you, but I'm not going to stand here and tell you the answer is to run to a worldly psychologist instead. And that's not what I believe, and I won't pretend it is. Because here's my honest question, okay? What can a system that doesn't even believe in God really teach you about the soul that was made by Him, a secular framework? Can name your symptoms, right? They could name everything. They could name all the symptoms, but does not know what you actually are. It's treating a spiritual being like there's no spirit at all. So you can't go to that either. So you have been handled two bad options your whole life. Option one, the fear based church that said your pain was a demon or a lack of faith. Option two, the secular world that says your pain is only chemical and childhood and God has nothing to do with it. Both of them are missing something. Both of them left me very empty. And it took me until my 50s to find the thing that neither one gave, the real gospel, not the fear based counterfeit that I grew up with, but the actual gospel where I learned about grace, the one that says you were never one wrong thought away from being thrown out, the one where your salvation is hanging by a thread. No, because you have to live this perfect life. That gospel doesn't just manage your symptoms, it goes somewhere else. I know the real gospel is the one that does go deep, and it does help you. It does manage everything. It goes down to the root of the terror that put all of those things there. Because I had to learn that in the hard way. So, what do you actually do with this? Well, let me be practical. One is stop carrying it in secret. The silence is half of what's killing you. Find a safe person, not the one who handed you the verse and walks away, but the one who can sit with you, okay, in it with you. If there's no one like that in your church, that tells you something about your church, okay? It's not about you. It tells you something of where you are. Two, take care of your body like the temple that it is. Okay, I'm not against a doctor because I'm not. If it's something is physical and something needs to to be done, or you need to see a doctor, then get your body checked out. There's no shame in that. Okay, caring for the body that God gave you is not lack of faith. What I'm against is handing your soul to a system that doesn't believe your soul exists. Three, find a counselor or a counsel that actually deals with the root. Okay. That's what biblical counseling is. It doesn't just quiet the symptoms, it goes after the lie underneath it. That's the work that I do. And I've done that work for many years for myself and for others. And it's the work that finally set me free after decades. And I hear the pushback already because I used to say the same thing. Mari, if I just have enough faith, I could do this. I wouldn't need any of this. Nope. Reaching out for help is a weak faith, staying silent and drowning to protect an image. That's the thing that almost killed me. Getting help is the first brave thing you could actually do for your life. So if you have been silenced, carrying something heavy, while everyone around you told you to just have more faith, I want you to hear this from a woman who almost lost her entire life. Okay? I almost lost my entire life. So listen, your struggle are real. It was never proof that something was wrong with your faith. And please hear me on this one thing. If you are in a truly dark place right now, if you're thinking about not being here anymore, do not sit in that alone and in silence. Tell a real person tonight. Reach out for help right away. The silence is the enemy, not you. So I did made a free guide, a short, no shame walk through the ways fear disguises itself as faith and how to tell the difference. So if you come in the world of rest, below, I will send it to you. But under this video, I will put the link where you could just go and get it. If you know of a woman who's been silencing, drowning while being told, pray harder, share this with her. It might be the first time someone tells her the truth. Well, thank you for being here, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye.